Say hello to my pile here, here, and a little bit over there. I have a book series here that is dusty because I've never touched it in a very long time. I'm here to expose myself today. In fairness now, I don't have a lot of books that I have unread because I get a lot from the library. There's a deadline for the library, so usually I'm like quick reading them and then getting rid of them. So then most of these books are like my own books. Besides one, I have one library book. Let's get on with the physical TBR, all the unread books I have yet to read. So starting off with the first one in the pile. The Shadow Between Us. I just got this book yesterday, so it's a very recent unread book. It's the same author as Daughter of the Pirate King. I'm really excited to read this, but also let me show you the naked book, just the spine, because it's so pretty. Like, that is stunning. Dude, what? Who even came up with this, and why are they a genius? I got this book in a secondhand shop and it was only for €7, which I think is an absolute bargain because it's in good condition and it's a hardback. The only thing I know about this book is that it's a standalone fantasy book. But we have the main character, Alessandra. She has a plan to gain power, woo the Shadow King. I do not like that word, woo. It reminds me of Sims. I don't like that word. Why do they put that in the goddamn synopsis, woo? Anyways, marry him, kill him, and take his throne, take his kingdom for herself. I'm really hoping this is a good enemies to lovers fantasy book. I have really high expectations for books nowadays. Not even nowadays, for the past 2 years, my expectations for books have been through the roof. I rarely give a book 5 stars nowadays. So honestly, I don't have high hopes. I don't have high hopes actually for this book. Not off to a great start. The next book is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. It's the final book in the Emma and the Ashes quartet. I've been putting off reading this book just because I'm definitely someone who forgets everything that they read in the series, so I want to remember everything before I get to this book, but then therefore I'm not going to get to this book because I don't want to reread the last 3 books because that's such a hassle. Henceforth, I am in a cycle of toxicity that I want to read this book, but I'm not gonna because I don't have time to read the other book, but I do actually have time, but I'm like making myself not have time. You know, it's just a bad cycle. This is such a near and dear series for me because it was one of the first like fantasy books when I was getting into this genre of reading, and it was so good. It's so good. There's a lot of action, there's enemies to lovers, but like genuinely good enemies to lovers, you know, and there's plot twists, there's really good plot twists, and there's side characters that you begin to really like, and I do want to read this, but it's so pretty. Actually, it's not. She changed covers midway, which I hate. I hate when authors midway change the cover of a series. So every single book in the series now is in a different format. The first one's in normal size paperback, second one is in all covers hardback, third one is in new cover hardback, and this one is just big size new covered paperback. It is everywhere. The next book is All Roads Lead Here by Marina Zapata. I'm not really in a romance mood right now. I finished all the Chestnut Spring series and that was enough romance for me for a while. Of course, Marina Zapata, slow burn. Aurora moves back to a place that once was home for her and it's not going to be easy, and she's starting over her new life. So then she's in a small town in the mountains and her landlord seems to be the love interest. I am really excited to read this book. It's floppy. I'm here for it. The next book is The Comeback by Lily Shu. Once again, I'm not in the romance mood, so I don't really want to read this. I don't actually know if it's smutty. I'm hoping that it's not, but I'm also thinking that it is. It follows the main character who's a lawyer. A famous South Korea star becomes her roommate, and you know, battle of her lawyer self and his like fun adventurous self, and they fall in love probably. The next one is Saving Six by Chloe Watt, and this is in the series Binding 13. This series, I read the first book like 3 weeks ago, loved it. 5 absolute massive stars. I really like the series and I can't wait to read more of it. We have Saving 6, Redeeming 6, Keeping 13. So we have these 3 books to read next. The 5th one's coming out in April this year. I'm really excited because it's about a character that I really like and I can't wait to read about him. But this is a YA contemporary romance and it's set in a private school in Ireland, like a secondary school, private school in Ireland. So if you're not into, you know, school vibes, I wouldn't recommend it because it really goes heavily on the school and rugby, because rugby, the love interest, Johnny, he's a rugby guy. He's trying to be on the Ireland team, so it really heavily talks about rugby and like team spirit, which I love in books. I love team stuff. I just love being in a team. Not like group projects team, more like team sports. So I really like the vibes of this. It's really good. There's a lot of trigger warnings, so I would recommend looking those bad guys up. Bad guys. Look up those bad guys. I highly recommend. It's really good. It's really funny too. And the banter's great. The next book is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard, and this is the second one after Red Queen. I haven't read Red Queen, and I also don't have Red Queen, so I can't read this book until I've read the first one. I think I bought this book because it was so cheap, but I feel like I'm not going to like this series, because if I read it a few years ago when I was in my prime of like finding out new things I like about fantasy books and all this other malarkey, I think I would like it. But right now I think I know what I like, and I don't think I'm going to like this. This book is like a classic fantasy YA book. I can't read the back of this one because I would spoil myself. It would indeed. The next book I have is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and I started this book I think 2 years ago. I got to page 320. I do not like DNFing books. I don't DNF books very often. I wasn't even planning to DNF this book, it's just that I wanted to chop off my head while reading this book because there was so many characters introduced, so many things happening. I actually had no idea what was happening for this 300 pages. I was just reading to read. I was reading words, but they were not making sense to me. I have no idea which characters are the main characters. I have no idea which characters I actually should focus on, because then I'm like, okay, this is the character I need to remember. They died the next page. I'm like, what was the point of me learning their name, their background, everything about them when they just die? I don't plan to actually ever read this book because I'm not going to put myself through pain. The cover is really beautiful. Everyone's like, dragons. Just read Fourth Wing. If you want a bit of dragons, read Fourth Wing. I'm really sorry if you like this book. It's just my personal opinion. If you like dragons, read Fourth Wing. That has a bit more flavour to it, to be honest. I'm absolutely hating on this book, but it really struck a chord of horribleness. I'm probably going to keep this book, but like mentally get rid of it, you know? The next book is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is after Fourth Wing, and I'm currently reading Fourth Wing, and I'm just about to finish Fourth Wing, so then I'm going to start reading this book like today, like right after I finish the book. And I'm really excited. It's about dragons. Oh my god, what have I seen? I'm not surprised that it won the 2023 like fantasy romance, either fantasy or fantasy romance genre in Goodreads, because it is a really good book, and the dragon scenes in this is really good. It really reminds me of How to Train Your Dragon, but also kind of like Divergent, especially the beginning scenes of Fourth Wing. You get to pick what area you want to go into. You can go into the writer's area, the scribe area, the healer's area, or the infantry area, but it's a really good book. The characters are really good. I'm kind of pissed at the conflict in Fourth Wing, like the last conflict bit, because it was so obvious that it was going to happen. And I'm kind of pissed because it's so like a generic fantasy book thing to do. I just wanted her to give us a little bit more. But still, it's a really good book. I can't wait to read this one. The next book is The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is in the From Blood and Ash series. I think this is the third one. I read the first and second one about 2 years ago. Let me tell you, the second one was phenomenal. It put me in a reading slump. I couldn't wait to read this book, but I didn't buy this book then for a while after I read the second one, and then I kind of forgot, and now I've really forgotten everything. So once again, it's the same issue with the An Ember in the Ashes series. I've forgotten like the key elements that I really need to remember to finish the series to fully like enjoy it. This is a very good high fantasy romance series. It's like hidden heritages and like things are revealed. It's really good. I don't know when I'm going to pick this up, to be honest. I just need to reread at least the second book, but I don't want to reread. You know, I don't want to. The next book is A Cruel and Fated Light by Ashley Shuttleworth. This is book 2 in the Hollow Star saga. The first one is A Dark and Hollow Star, I think. It's a fantasy series with a lot of POVs. I enjoyed the first book. Same thing again. I haven't read the first book in at least 2 years, so I can't really remember like what was happening, especially in this book. I don't really remember. Like with those books I could, because there was a few before the book that I need to read, but this one it was only one, so we're having a little bit of an issue. But it's a really nice cover, so I have to give her props there. This is the book that I have from the library, and it's A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I'm politely going to give this book back because it's a Christmas book. It's not Christmas anymore. I heard that it's mostly smut and no plot, and I'm not into that right now. I kind of want like plot and no romance. That's the vibes I'm having. That's the vibes I've been wanting for like 2 years. That's why I kind of want to get into just like high fantasy, because they don't really rely on romance, which is why I want to read the Mistborn series. Like I just want a little tagine bit of romance, like, oh, he looked at me, and like that's it for like 400 pages. That's what I need in a book. But yes, I'm going to return this book because I don't want to read it. The next series that I have yet to read, and I don't actually plan on reading, you know, it's the Harry Potter series. So I got these books I think 5 years ago or 6 years ago. 6 years ago. I asked them for my birthday because I really was wanting to read them, but then I started reading the first book and realized I do not like this. Okay, so I got to page 52 of the first book. It just was not gripping me. And the thing is too, I didn't love the Harry Potter movies. I might try read it maybe because the covers are so nice and I'd love to display them. But also J.K. Rowling can go fuck herself, to be honest. I told one of my friends that I'll give him all these books because he really likes the Harry Potter series, but he lives in a different country, so that'd be a bit hard. I do want to try, but you know, there's only so much trying I could do before I'm like, no, stop it, I don't want to read these. I didn't actually count how many unread books I have, so let's count right now.
6, 7, 8, 9.
I have 20 unread books. I really do want to get that number down. I want to read the books that I've been putting off. But the problem is I keep on ordering books from the library. I love the library and I'm ordering books left, right and centre, and I'm always getting books in, so then the books I actually physically have that are mine, I don't read them as quickly from the ones I get from the library. And then yeah, it's like a big old cycle that I put myself through. You know, so it's a me problem right now. It's a me problem. I hope you enjoy this little physical TBR video. I kind of want to do these every year to see like where I'm at. My reading goal for this year is 100 books, so I want to get through a lot of this TBR. I need to get my ass in gear and start reading the past books, or just watch Booktoks. It's not the same, you know, it's not the same. Once you read the book and then you read the new book, you're like fully immersed in the series, you're there already. But if you watch like a book talk of the book, it's not like fully there. You know, I'm not making sense, but you know, I'm gonna sign off. Hopefully you maybe got some book recs, I don't know. But yes, see you guys in my next video.